Hey guys, welcome to the Commando Cast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Andrew, and there's a lot of excitement about this upcoming weekend, so that's what Mike and I are talking today is Prime Predictions. All right, guys, so this is episode 51, and like I said, a lot of excitement about this weekend because we have a number of primes around the country. There are no international locations. What I'm showing up right now actually are the prime locations. There are 8 of them across the country. So we have one in Arizona, one in Colorado, one in Kansas, one in Rochester, New York, which I think we expect to be a pretty big one. Ohio. We have one in Portland, Oregon. We're also expecting that one to be pretty large. We have one in, I hope I'm saying this correctly, Tamaqua, Pennsylvania. And then we have one down in Fort Worth. Our garbage roller boys will be out at that one, we expect, but we expect that one to also be a pretty big one. So what are we thinking, Mike, that we're going to see, right?
One of the things I've been thinking about a lot this week is how these primes are greatly positioned to set the tone for worlds.
Oh, they have to, right?
There is no meta until these primes happen.
Well, there's a theoretical meta.
There's but it's all air at this point.
Yeah.
But we'll find out here what if we have a bunch of droid offs in these finals of these, we're going to know that droids are still the meta. And I think it's really cool that if you're going to one of these primes, you have an opportunity to set the meta. Like you are choosing what we're going to be playing on for the next, for a while anyway.
Yeah, and that's why I'm calling today's episode All Eyes on This Weekend, is because I really do think that the primes this weekend are, I don't want to say more important, but more impactful to the world's meta than are the ones the following weekend.
Correct.
Primarily because you're going to have 3 days to sleeve up your stuff, test it out, and then fly out to World. So I think this weekend is really the last chance to kind of make your choice, right?
It's a testing chamber, really. I mean, for a lot of these people, because the people that are going to, especially the Western New York and Rochester and Fort Worth and here at Portland, there's a lot of high level players that are going to be going to these locations, and they're going to be bringing their best stuff, and this could be the last chance they get to really grind out competitive games before they go.
Yeah, I mean, aside from your TTS and your in-house testing, right? So, all right. So before we go into full-on predictions, I'd actually like to talk about what we were playing and what we saw this week. Amy and I had a chance to run a tournament in Wisconsin under the new RRG, and then we had a chance to run one, obviously, at Gongai under the new RRG. So I played IG-88 Phasma 2 different ways. And I know there's been a lot of excitement and hype about Phasma from that regard. I do have to say I wasn't impressed with that deck as I thought I was going to be. The first day I played a bounty version with Night Sister Lair, trying to get money, and then of course doing the Iggy AoE thing. And then that felt pretty clunky because I ended up with no cards in my hand.
Yeah, I feel like in order to play bounties, you have to be all in on the bounty hunter thing. So playing Phasma, who is not a bounty hunter, you're taking 6, and when I played my bounty hunter decks, there were 7 spots because I played bounty boards as well.
But you were playing Asajj.
Right, but I was playing Asajj AG-88, so it was all in, right? Like those 6 cards were impactful for all characters involved in the game, and I think when you run IG-88 and Phasma, you're basically invalidating, she doesn't really affect those very often. I mean, she can certainly kill the characters that the bounties are on. She's good at that, but it does feel weird. I thought your gun version was pretty good. That was definitely superior.
And that's what I defaulted to, like I said, after I kind of fuddled around or felt like I was. I mean, I want to be clear. I took 3 games, so I took second place, and then I took the tournament with both the IG-88 versions. So it's not a bad deck. I'm not saying it's bad at all. And I think people who run it at these primes are going to have a fine time.
Sure.
It's just, it doesn't feel like a tier 1 deck. That's really what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right? But back to your Asajj thing real quick, right? You can discard those bounties for removal with Asajj, right. So it doesn't become as clunky, I think.
But you can discard.
Right? It's
absolutely.
It's not straight removal, but with Asajj, your bounty card in your hand can become a removal card.
Correct.
And I think that's why it works better with the Phasma thing, just using it as a pitch to reroll. And Phasma's really good, but she only has the one focus, and it really feels bad to use her one focus, which is also on a damage die that you want to use really bad, right? So,
in round 3, in that deck, when you're playing the bounties, if those cards become dead in a round when you're trying to close out the game, those cards are useless, right?
If you don't have all the bounties you want down by round 2 with IG88, like you're done, right? So once you hit round 3, they're worthless. So, right. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, I don't want to beat that one over the head. It's just that's the one that I think needs talked about because it's a potential new factor.
Yeah.
Right. The other new factor that I've seen some people really excited about is the Kylo 2 Phasma 2 release, so just the 2-player set pairing.
Did you see any of that over the? I didn't
see anybody run it.
Okay.
But I know you're more of an online presence than I am. So have you run up against it?
No, actually, TTS has been a flood of Ewok decks, which I think is pretty funny. And that's one of the things I want was one of my prediction, like because I am more on the online presence TTS. One of my predictions I think for these sets of primes is the prevalence of Ewoks. Like
really,
it is still good. Newsflash. And if people aren't prepared for them, they're gonna die. Like if everyone just thinks, hey, I'm going 2 wide because that's the new meta, and then 5 people bring Ewoks, there's gonna be a top 4 Ewok deck at your prime.
Right.
Because
and actually, IG88's no good against Ewoks because you can't get that many bounties. Yeah. That's interesting. So I was theory crafting an Ewok deck with Steve while I was off on vacation, and the proposal I had, and he kind of backed me up, and we finalized it was run double down in the AR slot, and then run 3 strengths, and then my spicy tech was I want to run 3 hampered, and then actually run Night Sister Lair. Not like you're going to get your battlefield anyway, but if you do. Get the dollar back on downgrade, right?
Yeah.
So what have you been seeing?
Double down, right? Seems to be the new spicy tech. I've seen some different versions where they're running now. I've seen Naboo Palace Guard.
I did see one of those.
Yeah, shout out to
no plot.
Garbage Rollers. I saw that on there. So they're running Naboo Palace Guard without the plot. And then I saw Double Down, and obviously Glider Attack is a really good.
So they're running 3 of those.
Yeah, 3 of those. And then I did find some people running 3. Inflict Pains. So the deck goes
that one makes
hard
sense.
It goes hard on burn spells, and Rey Kylo makes a lot of shields, and it does well against that deck. It can do well against that deck, but I think if you are not prepared and teched against Ewoks at all, and you walk in, you may just take an auto loss against Ewoks, which might be fine, because if it's the only auto loss you take and you only play it one time, you're going to make the cut, right?
Sure.
But I foresee there being more Ewoks than people predicted originally.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, we diverted a bit, but that was definitely valid discussion, right? So back to the Kylo Phasma. Again, I saw a lot of people excited about that, and I guess it kind of surprised me. And I think the reason it surprises me, and to be clear, I'm in no way saying that Phasma is a 1-to-1 to Gideon Hask, but if Kylo was going to be so good, then shouldn't we have seen Kylo Gideon at least being, or maybe Kylo Price again?
Yeah.
And for me, what it really boils down to is I don't think Kylo is It's not that he's not playable, but I think he lost all of his power when he lost Throne Room.
Yeah. To go back to Phasma and her superiority over Price and Hask. So. Hask is if I remember right, he is a trooper but not a leader.
Correct.
And then Price is a leader but not a trooper.
Correct.
Phasma is a trooper leader, correct?
Okay, fair enough.
So that enables a ton of new cards. So not only can I slot Measure for Measure, I can also slot counterintelligence. Counterintelligence, right? So these are 2 very good cards, right, in our current meta. Also, those 2 decks are not very easy picked. You basically have a what is it, like 33% chance, or 60 or 12% chance on Kylo to get picked on his initial rollout if he's only running the 2. And since she doesn't have any matching symbols for him except for the focus side, like you can more easily roll them out together and not get easy picks. So I think there's definitely some reason why she is superior. She has the same hit points as Price. I think she has 1 more hit point than Hask. So I mean,
she's clearly better than Hask.
Right,
I get that. I'm just saying, like,
And I don't necessarily think it's her superiority over them that would drive Kylo to become all of a sudden relevant. It's Reylo.
Well, yeah, everybody thinks that Reylo is going to be the new thing, and like I do have to give a shout out to Bobby Sapphire from Hyperloops. Like he had a really cool article that he wrote about kind of like just the mental. It wasn't a lot of people took it as a flame article, and that wasn't what he was saying in any way, right? He was basically talking about like the emotional intelligence of like how not dropping in the original email, not dropping the Phasma thing probably skewed the number of number of Reylo players by like 10%.
Sure, that's interesting.
And like obviously the percentage, like he has no way to back that up, but like his point is valid, right? In that like if the weekend prior everyone had known that Phasma was going to be reduced, would there have been many Reylo players? And then is everyone talking about Kylo at all? Right. So,
and Kylo is a really hard matchup against the like Rainbow droids. Like you are,
and Jabba.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not like if I was playing this weekend, I would not be playing Kylo at all. I just think
I agree.
His dice are not good enough to overcome if you're playing a Rainbow deck and only hit if you get lucky and hit once on his activation ability. He's too highly costed to not be getting those 2 extra points, on damage out of him. So I personally wouldn't run that.
Right.
Unless you told me there's going to be 50% Reylo, in which case I would totally run that.
Yeah, but I mean, even at a 50% field,
right, which would never happen.
Do you make the cut? Oh yeah, and it's enough.
Right, yeah. Like, I think that a good player makes the cut if that's the case.
I think, I don't know, it's probably 50-50 against Ewoks.
And that's if the Kylo...
No, and that's if it's a heavy yellow Ewoks.
Right. And that's if the Kylo Phasma player has teched against Ewoks, because that deck only has 22 hit health. Like, I mean, and in no way to generate a shield unless they...
shield still only takes 1, right?
And Bubble Shield, and if you're taking Bubble Shield in that deck, which I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm just saying that's a very important slot. Phasma gives you access to so many very good red events, and with Kylo's access to blue, there's a lot of good... Like, your deck slots are very... I had a hard time making my Phasma Kylo deck this week. Like, I was like, I don't know. I barely ran any upgrades because I couldn't figure out, because I had so many events I want to run.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I miss the Kylo throne room new orders thing, right? I think that when that went out the window, but a lot has happened since then too. So Wyatt and I were actually Wyatt from Dice of Failure, and I were talking back and forth via Messenger this week. And the reason I was talking to him is because those boys love their Fat Falcons up there, right?
So, they do.
Do you think we kind of think that in the right meta it could actually pop up again? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about like if you were playing this weekend, what would you run, right? So if of the top 3 decks I would run if I was playing this weekend, a fast vehicle deck would be one of them. Right. And the reason I say that is because I tell a lot of newer players to this level, like prime level, regional level tournaments, that the tournament is such a grind. It's such a long day. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to easily win a couple games.
Sure.
Otherwise, the amount of mental energy you take, unless you are a really highly honed competitive player, and you can stay focused that long, you got to blow some people off the table sometimes. Mm-hmm. You just have to be able to do it.
Right.
And I think those fast vehicle decks, the bigs, like Han, if Han Bigs had more hit points, it would be.
That's actually the one I'm talking about. I'm not talking the 6-cost Falcon. I'm talking Han Big.
Yeah, Falcon, it's just so fast and it does so much. And the reason that deck is so good is because it can blitz you out and then sit back and claim, and then remove your dice.
Right. Mean Streets made that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think So that's in my top. That type of deck would be in my top 3 of what I would be playing if I was playing this weekend.
Okay.
Because it can blow some people off the table.
Okay. And then my hot take, and hopefully it's not too hot, is I wouldn't be surprised if we see some mill decks pop up this weekend.
Yeah, I hope not, right? But yes.
As aggro comes, mill comes, and honestly, those droid mill decks didn't really take a hit.
No, it's because it was already running at 29.
Well, the Anakin version's running at 29, right? So that one's unaffected entirely. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a mill spike. But it really just depends on if people... Basically, it boils down to if people had already been running it, then everything just got easier and better for them. If you hadn't been, it's probably too late.
So let me tell you why mill is very dangerous right now. And your hot take is I think right on. if you remember, there was a Millpocalypse. For those of you that were around then, right? There was this Millpocalypse, right? And we were being oppressed by these really strong mill decks. And there were several flavors of them that had come out at the same time. And the competitive people had to learn how to play and adapt their decks to beat those mill decks until the field kind of evened itself out. And then the best players that were playing mill were able to go 50-50 against the best players playing mill. Like that's kind of how it worked itself out. We have been I think we've been away from having to play against mill decks for so long that even I, who plays way too much Destiny every week, like I really would have to remind myself how to even play against a mill deck at this point. Like I think if there's been any new players that have come in the last 5 or 6 months that maybe hadn't ever seen mill before, mill could come in and just massacre you like in the first couple rounds. Like you may not even know what to do. So I think that's why mill is very dangerous, because people haven't been playing against it.
I think we're aligned there. I don't know. We'll just see if it sneaks in, right? If it does, I do think it'll be a droid version, right? I mean, just speed with which they can discard and salvage. I mean, we were talking about this just last night. Salvage Darn is brutal.
Yeah, we've been playing a damaged droid deck that can drop your 2 or 3 cards from your hand just because I want to. Like it's pretty tough.
Reroll now.
Right? Yeah. No, and we haven't seen like. There could be some spicy Leia Yoda. Yoda makes a ton of shields, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of cards.
You know what's really good in this game? Rainbow.
Rainbow. Yeah, it's. Is there a rainbow mill though that isn't? Is there a rainbow mill that isn't droids? I guess would be my first question.
Not that I know of, but
because C-3PO is not really he's not a mill character, but he boosts the dice.
It's just what people do in that droid mill deck of even the sonic detonators, right? I've seen used, but I mean, going into a bartering for a 2, I mean, that's crazy good, right? So I don't know. I like it.
I was kind of like I had an idea of maybe running a single die Yoda, single die Leia, C-3PO, just for. Extra hit point. I think it's 29. I think if my math is right.
30 now? Isn't it 11, 10, and he's 9 now, right? So it's 30.
Yeah. Oh, is it 30? Yeah. Just, again, please don't bring that to a prime. I'm just saying, I was writing some stuff down. I'm like, that's really interesting to be able to have 3 wide some sort of mill deck. And I used to hate single die decks until we started seeing Phasma decks come.
Well, the Afro decks worked because, Anyway, we're trailing. But the other one that's popped up, and this is, again, a garbage roller shout-out. I first saw this, is the Forlom 3-wide. I
hate this deck. Go ahead, though.
So I haven't played against it. I've watched the videos. They did a good job, but, I don't... This deck works. And I don't get how this deck works.
See, and I don't think this deck works because I've only ever seen it get its butt kicked.
Well, I don't think it's a tier 1 deck. Now, this clearly falls in our, I don't know, to bring up one of our old references, like the Beware of Pilot type type phase. It's very creative, and I think a lot of people sit down from it and they're like, what is this jank? And then all of a sudden there's a fist on the table and you're like, what's going on?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's rainbow. Right, it's got 4 dice.
Yeah,
it's got lots of damage sides.
A lot of hit points.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I hate it, but I get it. I think it feels like a reach to me. Forlom feels garbage tier at 15 points.
Yeah.
But now the cool part is
picked like it's his job.
Right. That's with Grievous on the board, right? And I mean the leader Grievous. He reduces the cost, which is kind of cool. You get extra value. So at 14, he's pretty good because he's 14 instead of 15 in that. But man, like you said, I think he's got two. It's a
2/2 disrupt money.
Yeah, like you said, he gets picked like it's his job. Yeah. I don't know. I think that deck is has not realized its full potential yet.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen it out there, and I'm like, what is this jank? And it seems to it gets big supports on the table, and that's kind of all you need in this game, right? I mean,
I know you've been talking about some new pairings and whatnot, but Han droids, chopper droids. It's all very good still.
No,
it
they're
didn't
all
take
fine.
that big a hit.
Yeah, they're all fine. The one I do want to talk about is Jabba.
Okay.
Sentinel or Jabba Watt Sentinel. The new version flying around, basically they dropped two entourages and they dropped 2 Fickles because most of them weren't playing hard muscle anyway.
Right.
So they dropped those 4 cards and slotted in 4 red TIE fighters, and that deck's pretty good.
Well, it still does its thing,
yeah,
right?
And the change on Watt, now he has 4 more red cards, and maybe now you're playing droid tank instead of something else too, just for the indirect. But when planetary hits the table, it still does.
Does the TIE Fighter has a money side? Yeah. So that again, I think it does. I think it does.
No, I'm pretty sure it has a money side.
Yeah. Remember we talked about that back in the day when people were playing Thrawn and
Snoke.
Yeah, Thrawn. So
yeah.
They were running the TIE Fighters, right? And they would just focus to the money and just money. So like that's
the TIE Fighter definitely has a money side. Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's the X-Wing that doesn't have a money side. Yes.
No, it does have a money side. It just doesn't have an X money side. It has a 1 money side instead of X money.
Okay, I have to look that up. Yeah, I remember one of our viewers. Remember Eric said he's never going to watch us again because got the sides of the X-Wing wrong.
Right. We missed you, Eric. Sorry, man. Come back to us.
That's fine. Yeah, but I think that deck's still really good.
You know who I don't want to see walk in with that deck? Alex.
Yeah.
Like, that would frighten me because he's like, I don't play this game like once every 4 months. Well, I'm really good at this
So he
deck.
hasn't bought his Spark of Hope, but Counterintelligence is a promo, so pretty sure he's got those.
Yeah, he's got those, yeah. I saw him put it, sleeve it immediately. He's like, oh, that's cool. What's that do?
Yeah. So, it takes the probe spot at a very minimum, right? So
yeah,
I think you can run both.
So I've been playing a version of Beckett and First Order Stormtrooper.
So this is what I ran up against last night. Right?
Yeah, and Sentinel Messenger. So 3-wide Rainbow, and I like the deck a lot. It's super fun.
I hear Rainbow's good.
Rainbow's good. I have to tell you though, I put in Counterintelligence instead of Probe. And what I really want is Counterintelligence and Probe. Like, that's what I really want in that deck. I just think those, if I will find a spot for those. I think if you have an option to run Probe and Counterintelligence, it is so strong right now. Yeah. Like, because an early Counterintelligence, you get to look at their hand, right? Mm-hmm. And you can tell whether you should fire that Probe off or not. That's the problem with Probe sometimes is you'll play it and it will do nothing, right? Counterintelligence says, I'm going to look, put one on top, and then I have a Probe just sitting here for next round. Or I looked and you've got a bunch of events, so I'm going to hit them.
Yeah, that's
so I really feel like they do a good job together. And I know it's a lot of card slots to put in that
it
hand
is.
Control, but it's so good.
But as someone who's played Beckett a lot, I think at this point most of us have played Beckett at least some. There's 2 ways to play Beckett. You either go really, really, really fast, or you dirtle like crazy so that you can power action special and make a bunch of money.
And I'm a dirtler at heart, right?
Right, so and that's what I mean. Yeah. So it's like Counterintelligence, Probe.
Right. I'm rolling
my Foss, roll my Sentinel Messenger.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I love that. That deck is so.
18 actions later, Beckett.
Yeah. That deck is so good. It does so many things well. It gives you an extra card draw. It makes tons of money. It disrupts your opponent's money. The Foss just sometimes hits 2 for 0. It just does.
Right.
Like, and Beckett's got 2. He's got a 2. He's got a 2 focus. Or no, 1 focus side. Yeah.
Focus, yeah.
Man, if that had 2 focus, can you imagine how broken it would be?
All right. So last one. Okay. This is not a new take, but try to keep this somewhat streamlined. So what do we think about Reylo? Like, obviously in the power ranking circuit, Reylo. To be clear, Reylo didn't go up. It just didn't go down. So what do you think? We know we're going to see Reylo. The question is how much.
Here's my hot take. I think that of all the decks that are possibly going to see the most play at the primes, Reylo is the one that has the most power if driven by the proper player. So I'll give you, for instance, Joe joined us last night. And he was a very good Reylo player.
Yeah, he's very good.
Like, that is some fantastic Reylo. And because you have all the access to villain and blue cards, the deck has a lot of utility. And it's actually hard to prepare to play against. Short of bring Kylo, right? It's hard to prepare because there's so many different ways that deck can play sticks, it can play abilities, it can go heavy event package with Neiman. It can go. There's so many different ways.
Well, is there a version that doesn't play Neiman?
No. Okay. No, I'm just saying, like, you could play a lot of things as long as you have Neiman, you're fine. You can play a lot of events.
And I mean, he specifically plays a lot of the Neiman moves as well because he likes that package.
Right. And who doesn't? Like, who doesn't? Because Neiman is the best card in the game, in my humble opinion. Neiman.
Well, but I see a lot of people play without the packages. Right.
Yeah, and he's playing pushing slash and draw closer.
Right, that's what I mean.
And dude, draw closer is just the draw closer messes with your math, which is the biggest problem with it. You're making decisions based on what you're seeing, and it screws with you. It reminds me of the old blue resolve it with ambush and resolve it again.
My allies force.
I think we've said that before, but that's my favorite. Like, it's one of my favorite tech cards for that. So my hot take is if Joe from the Hyperloops rolls up into Rochester, that's a long drive for Joe, I'm sure. But if he were to be packing Raylo and he had practiced with it, I think that would be the strongest deck in the meta because of the piloting it. Because it has so many ways. It can defend itself. It can do damage. It can strike from nowhere. Like it's
well, that's the strike from nowhere thing is true, right? Mm-hmm. If you have 1 health left on one of your characters playing Raylo, like, you need to just assume. And they have a money.
Right. Yeah. Well, 2. If you're 2 health away, that deck can kill you with a polarity in a.
Oh well, I was thinking, yeah, that's true. But I was thinking 1 safe. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody go down to a Ray Steadfast.
Yeah. Right. Oh, Ray Steadfast. Right. I saw someone playing the other day. I saw them playing Finishing Blow. What? Are you kidding me? Like, a Finishing Blow? Like, that's crazy. Again, it's another card that messes with your math. So that's my hot. And I love me some Raylo. That was the deck that I kind of got on when the set first got released, and I had a lot of fun with it. And it handles. It reminds me a lot of the droids package. The droids. The reason droids are so good is because they can handle many different things. Mm-hmm. Raylo's the same way. Like, it can, you're going to interact, it can generate shields. The only thing it cannot deal with is a big support. Like, that's really like short of if you're going to run Flames of the Past, but I've never seen.
I can't see.
I cannot
doing
see
that
in
a Raylo.
Yeah. It just has to kill you and generate shields, I suppose. Right. So, and I think that's maybe what's been holding it back a little bit is there was a ton of big support stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know that's been. The 2 indirect sides on the TIE fighters add up pretty quick, right? Even with Raylo shields, right? So I don't know. And then I guess the last fun one I want to talk about is the K2SO R2 chopper droids, which you kind of busted out for a while.
Right.
I resurrected it because I think it's actually really well positioned in this new meta. However, I think it takes a lot of practice. So
it is a very
it's a good deck.
My favorite card in that deck is Ewok Ambush. Ewok Ambush. Like, it's funny how many things you are enabled, like, because you have 2 non-elite characters, so that card, it becomes so powerful at all times because you can hit from anywhere. I saw, and I haven't played it in there before, but I've seen other droid decks that are running Rex's Blaster. Just to get
for extra
X, because then you get to activate Ewok Ambush, activate twice. Activate once turn, activate the other guy. Actually, I guess they're both after effects, so you could even do them in the order you want to do, and then just smack people. Like, so I like that deck a lot. It has it has a lot of health too. Mm-hmm. It's no joke. It's got 11, 8, and 8. Yeah. With healing, I was running a lot of healing in mine.
That's the main problem. You were talking about droid package strengths, right? The thing with droids is like, you're like, oh, they just put 6 on R2 this round, riot shield, field medic, and then all of a sudden this guy's alive again.
It takes you like 3 rounds to kill one character against a droid deck. Yeah,
and you're like, oh, I'll just blow down one of the minions because they'll be alive, and then or you go for K2 and he's got 11 health and I don't know, whatever.
And K2 is probably the least dangerous. He only has 2 damage sides. Dude, his power action is really good.
K2 rolls awful until he doesn't roll awful. Like, I've never seen that guy roll damage without his other die being damaged. Like, it's just the way
and it's a 3 for 1 and a 2.
3 for 1 and a 2. Right. Or it's a blank and a shield. But no, I think that deck's actually really well positioned. I had Amy running it, I built it for Amy and she was running it. And then it was really interesting because I was watching the videos that we recorded. She was in a couple of those games, and she wasn't playing. I'm also very hard on Amy because build the decks. And I'm like, no, that's not how I intended it, right? And so I ran it last night at Monday Night Dice. That's why I ran it, because I wanted to see how it functioned. And the deck's pretty good.
Yeah, even when not optimally played,
that was my point. Like, I was looking at it, and like, she wasn't playing it the way I would have played it.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, this deck, like, so I ran it last night and it did well.
I think any deck that has soft mitigation without a card in hand is super strong.
Sure.
Like, and people forget about K2's power is it is not one of his dice. It's any die.
Well, you have to reroll one of your dice.
One of your dice. But so if you have a dice in the field,
right,
you are sitting on soft mitigation.
Right. Now, it does feel bad to reroll an R2, but I mean,
if it was that or die. Yeah. Now my luck is I have them reroll. They roll back into
the best one to reroll actually is the rocket booster.
Oh yeah, right, because it's got a 2 and a 3 on it. Yeah, it feels pretty good.
Yeah. So
actually, the best way is just to roll a 3 for 1 on.
Well, yeah, that's the best, and then roll into other 2s, and then this game's easy.
Blank your other person.
This game's easy.
Yeah, this game's so easy when you roll 3s.
So, yeah, pretty much that's it. So I don't know. I know we're very excited about the Prime. That's why we're actually posting this one early in the week. Again, usually we post on Fridays. We kind of got off that last week because the RRG dropped, and we didn't want to be 3 days stale.
Yeah.
And then we're posting this early because we want to get people excited about the Prime. And also, Mike and I are going to be very busy at the end of this week preparing for the Prime. So
yeah, it's going to be. I think we're probably. If I had to take a guess at this point, I'd say we're probably going to be in the range of 50 plus. 50 plus. I think so. So it's going to be a fun day. I'm excited to meet some. We have people traveling in. I think I mentioned that before, and the energy in the air. Mm-hmm. You could taste it
in the virtual air.
In the virtual. Even in our weeklies, like in our even our locals, people are excited.
Right.
They're talking.
Everybody wants those Raylo promos.
Yeah. Well, and everybody feels just like a more sense of like discovery. Like there's an open feeling. I don't know if that's how we're going to feel after the weekend's over, whether the meta's open or anything. But right now it feels as if it is open, and I think it's really cool. Dude, watch out for Vader, by the way. Like that's something we didn't really talk about.
No, we didn't. You know what's a really good combo? Seize the day into reach the stars.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and I know Vader can get ripped up by droids, but if those decks are not represented highly at your prime, and you end up getting a Vader like deck, that Vader could get pretty hot. And Vader fits that mold of there's a lot to it, mm-hmm. and you can sometimes just kill.
Just roll 7.
Just roll
7 or 8 with a Vader saber on there. Yeah.
Or Fear and Dead Man your opponent off the board. Like, I mean, it does that thing that I like so much, which is sometimes it just blows you up.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think Vader's not out. I don't like the Vader matchup into Raylo, though, which I think chokes it out a little. But
well, they'll kill your Vader in 2 rounds pretty easily.
I mean, it's just damage. Yeah, and they take shield. Like, the Raylo player is the first, not the first deck, but Qui-Gon was supposed to be the guy who took shields to win the game, and Raylo takes shields to win the game, right?
There's so many times when I play against a Raylo player, and I feel very accomplished because I burned down Kylo, right? And I'm like, right? So I've got a dead character, and I killed Kylo. I look over, and my last character has 2 damage on him. I look over, and Rey has 2 weapons and 3 shields and no damage, and I spent all the energy in the game was trying to kill one character, and Rey's over there just like, and she's not easy to put down because of her special.
Not.
She's
that
really hard. I wonder how much people are going to be running things like Galactic Deception and Intimidates.
I mean, honestly, I don't think Intimidate hurts you that bad in Raylo. Like, yeah, you lose 2 shields, and maybe you lose the effective bounce of 1 die or the effective reroll of 1 die. I don't think it's that impactful. I mean, I'm not saying you want to see it, but it's not that bad. Galactic Deception also, I think most people probably only ring a 1 of. So, like,
have you ever gotten hit by that when you're playing Raylo? It's the worst feeling.
No, I get it. I'm not saying you want to see it, but like, I think most people are running it as a 1 of. So, I don't know. Again, I think that's where the good players can set themselves up to play around it, right? I mean, you're still going to take a hit.
We give a lot of static to FFG about their handling sometimes of different things, but I have to say this game is just so good. Like, there's so many amazing interactions in this game, and the fact that they were able to take a card game, a deck of cards that has RNG, right, and pair them with dice that are their RNG incarnate, right, fuse them together and make this game that has so many tactical decisions and decision points, and you can tell that this is a really good game because the good players are good at it. Like we notice that the top
consistently see the same people.
Yeah, right. And I mean that is not only a testament to how good they are at it, but they couldn't be good at the game if it was just some luck-based random. If we were playing war, like it's. I love it. I love this game so much, and I hope that we take the opportunity this weekend to celebrate it, follow that into Worlds, and I hope FFG sees that how happy we are and how excited we are about their game, and I hope they maybe refocus a little bit and maybe put some more energy into such a good game they built.
I mean, at the very least, we know that they have 500 people knocking on their doorstep here in a week and a half, right? Yeah. If that doesn't re-energize everybody, I don't know what's going to, right?
Yeah,
and it's like 500 plus.
500 right? is ridiculous. Like that is an incredible. Like we went from was it just over 200 the year before? I don't think it was. Certainly wasn't 300 to 500. That's crazy. Right. Like,
well, and what's super cool about it is that. Aren't the tickets? I mean, they freed up some tickets today of reserve seats that weren't filled, right? But like otherwise, it was full, right?
They are pretty close. Like I mean, they're within probably 50 tops, and it happens at the same weekend that X-Wing does, right? And X-Wing is wickedly popular. Like I mean, they routinely get 200 people at like a qualifier,
right?
Like I mean, they that game is hot. So the fact that we're able to kind of stand next to them in the same venue and show that this is our game and this is what we like to do, I don't want to say we're in the golden age of Destiny, but the golden age is probably Legacies. We've talked about this before, but as far as the ability to do things and to find competitive play. And fun decks, and and worlds with 500 people, this is
and
probably it.
Do keep in mind to temper that though. We're in a very, there was Gen Con and then Nova and then Primes and then so we're ramping up, right? The announcement about the GQs does slightly put a pin in your balloon, right? But no, I agree with you. I think that and actually. Let's put kind of a pin in this because I want to actually have an episode about it later.
Sure.
But we as a community, I think, really need to come out swinging from Worlds because I think we can all make our own personal assumptions about what happens actually at the office at FFG, and I think we can all assume that there's probably not a lot of people going to be in the office very often during the holidays, right? So they're going to leave Worlds, they're going to have a month and a half of not having to do a whole lot, not being around a whole lot. We want to make sure that when they come back, they don't forget that we're all people and we're still here, right?
Yeah.
So I think that we as a community have an opportunity to really kind of put it in their face and remind them that there's people on the other side of the game that they make. And I think that is on us to remind them, right?
Sure.
So like I said, I don't want to talk about it too long because I actually wanted to do an episode about it later.
But that's perfect. So
so again, Portland's this weekend. I'll flash up again. Actually, I'm doing it right now. I'm flashing up again the other locations. If there's one near you, go.
Yeah, go. Oh my gosh, go.
Mike and I have talked about it before. It's not, the most casual event you're ever going to run into, but they're not as bad as if you were going to a con and people paid several $100s to get there, right?
Right. And if you if you're new or you're casual, there's a lot of fun to be had at these. A lot of them have side events. Like we're running a 40-40.
Are you mimicking the world?
Yeah, the 40-40 Infinite Highlander. That's a fun. So we're gonna have let's say we have 60 people, right? 52 people are not going to make the cut.
Right.
So there's going to be 52 other people who could potentially go, hey, I'd like to keep having some fun and continue to play. And those people are going to be drinking beer and enjoying each other's company. So just because very few people get to make the cut and only one person gets to win, right? But everyone should be having a good time. So don't be afraid to go and get some and meet people. And
it's still a good community.
I actually didn't know we had this many people playing Destiny in Portland.
Well, but people are traveling.
Well, yeah, and there's people that are from here though that I didn't realize were playing Destiny.
Oh well.
And we're pretty connected, right? I mean, we know. I feel like we should know everybody, And so that's been the coolest part is like, I'm hoping that when we go and you and I are in the trenches, like calling out people's misplays or making judge rulings, that we also stop and just, get to know some people. I think it's really important.
Yeah. I mean, you'll do a better job at that than me. As you know, I become pretty tunnel visioned in what I do, and especially well,
you be marshalling, so you certainly have the bigger job.
And like my job, aside from getting the judge calls and going, I'm going to be sitting like a hawk at the stream table and making sure that nothing major happens.
Sure.
We are still going to be. And for the stream as well, we're going to have primarily a non-interference policy for Swiss. But once it gets into the cut, like I'm going to be on that like a hawk, right? And it doesn't mean I'm not going to miss anything. We've seen stuff like that happen before, but I'm going to be pretty tunnel vision.
Can I make a PSA here?
Sure.
For the group that's about to go to primes, I'd actually should talk about 2 card interactions that I've seen wildly mishandled. And this is for you that are marshalling, judging, playing. So let's talk for a moment about Sinister Peace and Forsaken.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I want you to know.
I do that. I know. I do it all the time.
I know, and so does everybody. So Forsaken only works on a value of 2 or less, and Sinister Peace only works on a value of 2 or higher. These are very important because the floor rules for a prime state that there aren't, it's a competitive environment.
No takey backseats.
So if you play, and there's actually a section of the rules now that talks about how to play a card. It says you declare a card to play. Mm-hmm. So if you take Forsaken out of your hand and you reveal it, you have committed to playing, to follow those set entries in the rulebook, which says if Andrew looks at my dice and goes, I'm going to Forsaken that 3 value dice, that's a legal play.
Meaning the card is a legal play.
Right. The dice he has chosen is not legal.
Right.
So I will then I could go judge, and Andrew's going to come over, and I'm going to look at Andrew and say, hey, Andrew played this card, and he targeted this die. It's not proper.
It's not a legal, it was a legal play, but it's not a legal target.
Right. So Andrew, if he's doing his job, is going to go, oh, well, that's fine. Just pick a different dice.
Right.
And it could be his own dice, but what he can't do is put it back in his hand and go, I'd rather play this one instead, because that is not like how the game is played. It might be played that way a Friday night, it might be played at your kitchen table. So
that's how we play it. That's at our how we play it, right? But not at a prime,
right?
So and not at a world.
Be very careful of these 2 cards. They could end up costing you a lot. Sinister Peace. If you play it on the wrong, oh my gosh, like. That because you're using 2 cards, right, to play that card.
And your point is and yes, it doesn't cost you the money, right? Because remember, if you do that on an electroshock, no yellow, you're still paying for it and playing the card.
Correct.
But at least you're not spotting and removing a die. Mike's point is exceedingly valid because you could actually have to remove your own die.
Right. There's a difference between a card that has a play restriction and a card that has a card target, and that's kind of the difference.
Well, but when you go to play electroshock, it's still played, but if you can't spot, you can't do the thing. Correct. The card was still played, but you can't spot, so there's no die.
There are some cards that state though you only play if right,
and that's not what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and those, if you try to play and you can't, again, that's a judge call, and you will get a warning. Right, for that, and that's no warnings are made to be given. Right, if I was playing this weekend, I expect to walk out of there with at least 3 warnings, for some sort of
people call you.
Yeah, right. So anyway, my public service announcement to you: please be careful of Forsaken and Sinister Peace before this prime. Those are man, I've seen it over and over and over the last month. I don't know what is going on, but
it's just there's so many other things going on, and it's a card we've become so comfortable with. Right?
They're so good though too. You're gonna bail you out of everything.
Yeah. Well. All right, fair enough. All right, so do we have anything else about the Prime or anything we're looking forward to? I know I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, I'm super excited.
It's gonna be a dauntingly long day, but
yeah, I'm hoping our energy stays high and that we'll be fine. So I'm actually really, I know, this Commando cast, right? We're talking, but I'm really excited to hear what everyone has to say after this weekend. The ABG podcast, the Hyperloops. I want to know what everyone thinks after it's all over in the analysis. But
I'm sure the ABG guys will be all to the Rochester one, right? But
that's pretty far, New Jersey to Rochester.
Oh, I don't mean they're going,
right? But
it's their people, right?
Correct. Yeah. So that's
us out here on the West Coast. doing our log rolling competitions and stuff. Right?
Well, people will drive 6 hours to go to a Prime here because it's the closest thing we got.
So. All right. Anyway, I think that's really it. So again, hey, we hope to see you this weekend, 9 o'clock at Smugglers Run Gaming in beautiful, probably cold Beaverton, Oregon. Yeah. It won't be raining, which means it'll be chilly. So. Right. But grab your pumpkin spice latte and
your extra big sweater.
Right. So, all right. If nothing else, again, if you like what we're doing here, please give us that like, subscribe. Don't hesitate to say hi to either one of us at the regional or the Prime, as long as we're not in the middle of something. And go Commando.
Go Commando.